Close your eyes, pretend it's radio. We'll listen to Pakman explain tariffs.
So when it comes to Trump, do you dislike his policies or him as a person or both?
I don't dislike Trump as a person in the sense that I've never met the guy. So I have personality traits that make him completely unsuited to being president. And also, I think his policy prescriptions, to the extent that they exist and he understands them, which is a different part of it. A lot of the stuff Trump talks about, he still doesn't know how tariffs work. We're 8 years into this thing, 9 years in. He still thinks China pays the tariffs when they're paid by American
Yeah, I've seen him
companies.
talk about tariffs.
Very confused guy.
Wait, so China's not paying tariffs right now?
The tariffs are paid by the American companies that import the Chinese goods. That's the way it's such a fundamental. And I see you looking a little confused
Yeah,
on
I'm
this
confused.
one. This is the way tariffs work. What Trump did is place tariffs on Chinese imports. By the time the imports get here, China's been paid for the stuff. Maybe they get net 120 terms, right? But in a sense, China has already transacted. The American company who brings the goods in pays the tariffs.
Really?
You're kidding right now.
No, I thought he said he was raising the tariffs by 50 to 100% for Chinese imports.
It's just because he doesn't know. He just doesn't know what a tariff is. It's okay.
You gotta clip this. I'm begging you. You gotta clip this and send
I
it
mean,
to me.
no, I'm genuinely
None of this
confused.
stuff is getting cut out, right?
No.
Oh my God.
We post everything.
Please. The tariffs are paid by the company that does the importing. So if you want to
Okay.
build a building in the U.S. and you import Chinese steel,
Who is he talking to? I have no idea who this guy is.
you pay China for the steel, you pay the U.S. government the tariff. This is why it's inflationary. Economists have looked at Trump's tariff proposal and said it would make stuff more expensive for Americans by adding the cost of the tariffs to the total cost of.
Can you explain what a tariff is? For an EU frog, it's the same for everybody. A tariff is just an import tax. I don't think there's a difference, right? I think tariff is another word for import. It's a tax. But conservatives don't ever refer to it as a tax because they don't like taxes. But that's all a tariff is a tax. If I buy something from another country and I have to import it in here, then it's then I'm paying a tax on it, on that import. It's a tariff. And you know what? Actually, they need to. Kamala shouldn't call it tariffs anymore. They should just call it what it is, which are import taxes.
Production. So that's the way tariffs work.
Do you seriously think Trump could not define a tariff? No, I don't think he could. I really don't think so.
A lot of people don't seem to know how tariffs work, which is sad because this is how people end up getting sucked into Trump's vortex. He says something that sounds good. I'm going to punish China with tariffs.
Yeah.
In this case, that sounds good. Chinese tariffs. They're paid by the American companies.
Wow.
That's why it's.
I don't get how Republicans don't know how this works. Have they never had something imported for personal reasons? Not even some weeaboo figurines? What? No, the average person, my guess is, has probably never seen an import tax in their entire life. If you've bought something internationally, I think USPS will have like a little slip that reads the import tax on it, maybe. So maybe you'll see it like there. But for most people, I probably have no idea. Most people have probably never seen something that says like import tax or anything like that. I think Trump would just say that he's disincentivizing companies from importing, you mean exporting, or importing from here, and encouraging internal manufacturing. It's dumb, but it is an argument. Yeah, but for that, you need global tariffs. If you look at tariff policy in the past, one of the issues that happens is if you try to tariff a country, the country will either ship to somewhere else, and then you just buy through them, in which case you can't do it, or you just buy a thing from another country. That's the issue. I'm not principally opposed to tariffs. It's bad economic policy in the short term. You can make arguments in the long term economically or for matters of national security for tariffs, but you don't. Just the idea that like a tariff is just like a win-win-win-win-win is stupid. Like if you're worried about inflation, tariffs will increase inflation, right? If we buy something from China, it's because it's cheaper to buy it from China. If you tariff it, well, it's going to cost more money, which could be fine if you want it to. Like maybe you have I don't agree with the well. There are some arguments that I can see strong arguments for like steel or microchip manufacturing, where you might say, hey, listen, fuck it, we'll pay more for this, but it's worth it not to have China manufacturing all of our microchips. Like, maybe that's worth it. But you can't make the argument on every single fucking side, you know? Like, if you want to, get better at foosball, you can't tell somebody, oh, like getting better at foosball is great because you have so much more free time and you never have to go practice and you get way better and then you can compete in tournaments. Like you can't do everything at once. Like there's always like pros and cons to most things in life. And the idea that like you can just, oh well, if we tariff things, everything gets cheaper, everything gets better, everything gets more secure. Like what? What's the downside of a global fully open market? What's the downside is when you have people that are in your arena that are not. What are you doing? That's my drawer. That's my cabinet.
It's not.
That's my cabinet.
I'm pretty sure everything in here is technically in my name. It was mine.
I thought it was in the company name.
Uh,
Oh, so you're just stealing my shit. Okay.
It's both.
What do you? If you just ask
I'm
her, it
looking
is.
for salt.
Oh.
Do you know where the salt
Do you want me to play
is?
some League? My guess is we threw it away.
Why? Why'd you throw out salt?
If it doesn't get used in a month, it goes
How
into.
do you even know it's getting used in a month? Are you flipping things? No, there's fucking salt.
Because
right
it's
here.
been over a
There's
month and you
salt
haven't asked for it.
right here.
Well,
So you did
good job.
throw
Look
it
at you.
out.
Look
And
at you
it
did
hasn't
it.
been used in a month.
Look at that. You just need a little bit of motivation, a little bit of encouragement.
Yeah, not you though.
Can you reiterate the need for global tariffs for tariffs to work? Yeah. Let's say that me and my friends aren't going to buy weed from Jane anymore because we feel like Jane is ripping us off, and because Jane is brunette and we don't support brown-haired people anymore, and we only want to buy from blonde-haired goddesses. Okay. Well, so let's say that we tariff Jane's weed, and we say, okay, well, if you want to buy any weed from her, you're going to have to pay 50% more. That's a tariff. Okay, and you pay that tax to me. All right. Well, Jane, was that her name, the brunette? Jane is going to say, okay, well, fuck me, I guess. You can't buy from me anymore. But Jill, the blonde-haired girl, now she makes her own weed, but it's more expensive than Jane's. But what Jane can do is Jane can go to Jill and say, like, hey, listen, I'll just sell you my weed, and you, like, mark it up a little bit, and then you sell it right back to them. Well, now you're fucked. So, and this, historically, is what happens when you try to tariff individual countries or individual like, products or whatever. You can't do it, right? Sorry, I'm dumb, but does that mean that U.S. manufacturers / suppliers will just pass the cost down to the American consumer if it costs more to import Chinese goods or services? I mean, at the end of the day, that's how taxes work, right? Like, if you increase the sales tax, you pay sales tax. Finish the answer about fully open markets. The bad thing about fully open anything is if there's a bad faith player that's taking advantage of the system. That's the issue. But wouldn't Jill also need to pay a tariff when she buys from Jane? No, Jill's not part of your group. She's a girl. No girls allowed. So Jill is outside of the group, so Jill can buy and sell from whoever the fuck she wants to. So now you have to tariff Jill as well so that you don't get shit from her. You have to do a global tariff eventually, right? You have to tariff every single player. Otherwise, Jane is just going to sell her bud to somebody else. They also lead to counter tariffs, so it's much harder to get rid of tariffs than to put them. Yeah, that too. If you tariff somebody, they're going to tariff you back because they're going to say, wait, hold on. Well, if you're going to make it harder for us to export shit to you, well, we're going to make it harder for you to export shit to us. You're not going to have an unfair competitive advantage in our market. Also, tariffs don't necessarily incentivize domestic manufacturing. All tariffs do is create a price floor. That price floor doesn't necessarily make it economically viable for domestic production to kick in. There's a whole other, no, that is true. Because it is possible that your domestic production price floor is actually greater than what the market would ordinarily bear for a reasonable rate of return. So nobody would invest in that particular thing and you just lose that product. Yeah, but that's a whole other thing. But I mean, that is true. Does Trump understand this? No. Because Trump is f***ing retarded. But that's okay. NVIM, wouldn't more open markets allow for stronger international enforcement of that kind of stuff? Well, you could do that, but the problem is people's understanding of econ is very poor. And so what happens is when you get a bunch of companies or countries together to make big trade agreements, people feel like somehow they're getting fucked over. So for instance, there was a big trade agreement like that called the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and everybody fucking hated it. That would have been an incredibly beneficial partnership for the United States to join, and we didn't because people felt like somehow companies were fucking you over. I learned tariffs as an abbreviation. Taxable assets received on incoming foreign freight. Is that really where it comes from? So I said when the video is coming out yet. I did the run through yesterday with the editor and all my researchers. It took about 7 hours, but they're working on it. It's out of my hands, but I'm still in control. Why the f does Trump have dog shit retarded ass advisors instead of yapping about tariffs, which just reduces credibility? How hard would it be for him to just hire some good economists and come up with a half decent plan? He doesn't. I don't want to sound like too biased, but he doesn't care about a plan. He's a narcissistic, like, egomaniac. He doesn't give a f about anything about the U.S. or a plan or any of that bullshit. If he did, he would have been a more effective leader. Why, I don't know why you keep asking questions like this. Like, why? Like, why? Like, it's like saying like, don't you think that like in the Jewish concentration camps that like the bedding could have been a little bit thicker? Like, it must have been real uncomfortable, you know, on those freight trains where they all had to stand right next to each other. Like, couldn't they have done a little bit better? Like, that's kind of the point. Trump is not here to be like an effective leader for the United States. He's here to serve as ego. How come the average reason have no clue how tariffs work? Average person? I don't know. There's just a lot of shit to like know about for today's world. We live in a complicated world. There's a lot of shit to learn. And we're not, the biggest issue is these ideas are like congealing more in my mind. I think they did a lot when I was speaking to Alex O'Connor, another bonger duder you guys might know of. It's more, actually, it's just, you guys have heard me say this a million times. Humans are just not designed to seek out true things. We seek out things that make us feel good. Generally, those things align, but we're becoming further and further removed from consequences for lying, right? So if I can tell you, like, it's like lying to your boss. Like, how many things did you do yesterday? Oh, I did, 100 of them instead of 50 of them. Like, oh, okay, cool. Well, if your boss has no way to verify it, you're just gonna fucking lie. You just say, oh yeah, I made 5,000 widgets instead of 2,000 widgets or whatever. So people lie because they sell the lie and it makes you feel good. And then people make money off of it. There's no incentive to tell the truth. People don't really fact check anything or don't care. And then that system is just, that's what we have right now. That's just what we have right now. There's no incentive to be honest about anything. Because you're never going to get, there's not like a, I don't want to call this a fact check. There's not like a reality check, right? Well, the election arguably was a reality check. But there aren't very many reality checks. Like, let's say, for instance, that you believe, I don't know, what was the last thing? That the hurricane was made by the government. Well, who cares? I mean, like, let's say you're wrong. Are you ever even going to know? Are you ever going to find that out? Like, no, you can believe whatever the you want about that. Let's say you think we didn't go to the moon or the Earth is 6,000 years old. Like, it's not like there's ever a moment where you have to reckon with a misunderstanding of some factual matter, right? The incentive is that there's supposed to be consequences for being wrong, like paying millions to Dominion, or that COVID isn't real and dying of an infection. Yeah, but the issue is that more people need to be suing for defamation in this country. I had a really cringe idea of like some government institution. Obviously, this would be fucking, what is doing that? This would be 1984 as fuck, but just like having a government agency called like the truth, and like anytime you lie, the truth is allowed to sue you, and then you have to go to court and prove your case. But obviously, the idea of the government being involved in that is probably not ideal and would look Orwellian as fuck. Well, until you end up on a ventilator because of COVID, yeah, but a lot of those types of things you don't really have to pay, again, the consequences for, because, or rather, by the time you pay it, you've already cashed out. I don't know, make the analogy work. Like, let's say you lied about climate change your whole life and now the planet is being blown up. Well, who the fuck cares? Like, what, okay, well, what, you're gonna say I told you so? Like, as we all, descend into a fiery, hellferno of death? Okay, let me do this so that I can see all my children, my lovely children. One institution could possibly set up a truth-checking thing like that. I don't have a silver bullet answer. I'm not sure. I don't know. I wish I knew. I have friends that are, oh God, that are like believing like Candace Owens shows, like people that were used to be like reasonable people. Oh, I'm losing my mind. We already have all these fact-checking sites. It doesn't matter. Yeah, that's part of what I'm showing in that J6 video. Like the 3 lies that I track. The 3 lies that I track are debunked in like 6 hours each, but people still believe them to this day. The Pennsylvania 205,000 vote one, the Dominion voting machine one, and the Georgia State Farm video one. All 3 of these are, not only are they demonstrably false, every single one of these was debunked within 24 hours, but people still believe it. Like, hardcore debunked. You think a community note style truth check by the government could work, or does it be? Well, no, but the point is that if the government starts saying something's not true, people don't believe it, right? I'm saying the citizens say it's not true, and the government hosts that statement. I mean, what? But then you're literally in like an area where, what, isn't there like some smarty pants quote? Like, it's not Einstein. What does every quote get attributed to? Like Churchill or Lincoln? Abraham Lincoln said, "Truth is not a matter of consensus." I think he posted that on his Twitter account. We need a different vector to debunk. Obviously, the way we have done it in the past and present isn't working, Destiny, even with evidence. I mean, you have to approach it like you would. You have to approach it like you would, like engineering, I guess. The problem when people talk about debunking or when people talk about like fact checking, they talk about a guy that's written like a shitty user interface who's like, okay, well that's okay because we've got like a 52-page walkthrough guide on how to avoid this. Like a good user interface should be relatively intuitive, right? Well, how is fact or intuition? How does that work intuitively? Well, through two ways. One, there has to be a social pressure for it because then you just do it, whatever, right? If there's social pressure, people will naturally do a particular thing. And the second is there has to be a consequence for being wrong that needs to be like learning behaviors or training dogs, right? It has to be like appropriate. It has to be immediate. You have to know exactly why it's happening. But with these things absent, you're never, ever, ever fixing that problem. You need those two things. Without those two things, it doesn't matter. Republicans need to start losing power when they lose elections. No more political protectionism. Maybe, yeah. I feel like the Republican Party is in a lot of trouble. Holy shit. If Trump loses, I have no clue where that party is going. Once the video is out, you should do a stream with your mom watching it. I don't think I can do it. I have a very hard time talking to my mom now. I will probably start crying, unironically. I cannot do it. It is very, very, very difficult. My mom and dad, I feel very upset that for probably until I was around 25 or 26. I don't think I had like a fuck America attitude, but there was like no love lost for the US. But I would say over the last like 2 years especially, like my appreciation for the United States has grown considerably. And my parents were like the most patriotic people. My mom is a Cuban immigrant, my dad's from Kentucky. They were both in the Air Force for 20 years, participated in the Cold War arguably. My dad worked on SR-71s, my mom flew at EC-135 for the Looking Glass. Like these people did a lot of cool shit. America, fuck yeah, shit. And now for both my parents to be hardcore Trumples that fucking hate this country and hate the values of this country, compounded with the fact that my mom has Alzheimer's disease, just drives me. It is insane listening to them talk. It feels like, I guess maybe that's what my parents felt like listening to me talk when I was like, America's so fucked. So, got me back in the end. That's the real experience of millions of people, and it's point that the human cost of this cult to be seen. Yeah, but the issue is you can't show it at that point because everybody just sees it the other way. Like people would look at it and say how sad it is that I'm sad because I'm so lost, right? Does your mom believe the Haitian eating dogs thing? My mom believes everything. She believes the hurricane was made by weather machines. Oh, I can't go through my text right now because my phone is the camera, but. Did you see the post on the subreddit about some dude's father-in-law refusing FEMA help? I saw it, but I'm always like so paranoid about these things being fake now that I'm not sure, but. How did your parents get so radicalized? Facebook? Yes, unironically, it was Facebook, yes. Yeah. I said that story a lot in the past that I was so happy when my mom told me like 10 years ago that she stopped watching like Glenn Beck and Sean Hannity and shit. And I was like, oh, cool, good job, Mom, I'm proud of you. But I didn't realize that what she was saying was she replaced her entire media diet with Facebook memes. Holy shit, this guy ordered? Is he just leaving this here? Is this a big fucking cookie? At the end of the table. Do you see it at the end of the table? Look at that. Look at that thing. Look at that thing. Look at it. Look at this. Holy shit. How are there so many Russian bot farms running on Twitter when they locked down their API behind a paywall? And Russia is a sanctioned country. I have no idea, dude. I mean, you wouldn't really need an API to help you run bots, right? Like most of it is going to be data input, and you're just scraping shit because you're already running bots anyways. Who the fuck cares, right? You probably doesn't even help that much, would it? I guess I don't even know what was available through through Twitter's API that would help you with bots. I don't know. With Zuck specifically, I think he's attempting to stay neutral in case of a Trump win. I don't think he's actually opposed to Trump or anything, just that he's hoping to have a favorable relationship with either admin. Yeah, maybe, I hope, I guess. The worst part is that even if Trump is gone, all of his elected followers will pretend like nothing happened or treat it as an Lent history. Okay. In a transhumanist future, what are you getting augmented? My cock. I'm gonna have a BBC. Actually, like black. It'll be the exact same size and everything. I just want it to be black. Did you see the meme on your sub about making offers on cars in Miami? Nope. Did you see the character Lily recently voiced?
Love the daisies and... What's this wonderful smell?
Freshly picked soothing sage tea from the Yulong Mountains to help with your achus.
Oh, wow. Earl Grey, Copa, Ginger. I don't know what to say. This is so lovely and thoughtful. Thank you. We
Wow,
were
cute.
happy to do it for you.
I voiced Cassia in an adorable show called T-Town
Just want
Teddy
you to-
Bears.
Asked to clarify if you believe Trump lost 20.
Vance is being interviewed by somebody. Listen.
In the debate, you were asked to clarify if you believe Trump lost 2020 election. Do you believe he lost the 2020 election?
I think that Donald Trump and I have both raised a number of issues with the 2020 election, but we're focused on the future. I think there's an obsession here with focusing on 2020. I'm much more worried about what happened after 2020, which is a wide open border, groceries that are unaffordable. And look,
Senator,
Lulu,
yes or no?
Okay.
Did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election?
Let me ask you a question. Is it okay that
Wow.
big technology companies censored the Hunter Biden laptop story, which independent analysis have said it cost Donald Trump millions of votes?
Senator Vance, I'm going to ask you again. Did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election?
Did big
There's a minute and 30 seconds left in this clip. I hope the whole time is just her asking the same question over and over and over again. This is how you need to treat them. It just needs to be this. Please. Please, please, please.
big technology companies censor a story that independent studies have suggested would have cost Trump millions of votes? I think
Senator
that's the
Vance,
question.
I'm going to ask you again. Did Donald Trump lose the 2020
And I've answered
election?
your question with another question. You answer my question and I'll answer yours.
I have asked this question repeatedly. It is something that is very important for the American people to know. There is no proof, legal or otherwise, that Donald Trump did not lose the 2020
But
election.
You're repeating a slogan rather than engaging with what I'm saying, which is that when our own technology firms engage in industrial scale censorship, by the way, backed up by the federal government, in a way that independent studies suggest affect the votes, I'm worried about Americans who feel
Like, none of what he just said was true, right?
like there were problems in 2020. I'm not worried about this slogan that people throw. Well, every court case went this way. I'm talking about something very discrete, a problem of censorship in this country that I do think affected things in 2020, and more importantly, that led to Kamala Harris's governance, which has screwed this country up in a big way.
Senator, would you have certified the election in 2020?
Oh, she moved on from it. It should have just been 2 hours asking that question, just over and over and over again, until he leaves.
Yes or no?
I've said that I would have voted against certification because of the concern that I just raised. I think that when you have technology companies...
The answer is no.
When you have technology companies censoring Americans at a mass scale in a way that, again, independent studies have suggested affect the vote, I think that it's right to protest against that, to criticize that, and that's a totally reasonable thing.
So the answer is no. And
You think we will see the end of America's global hegemony in our lifetime? Who knows? We can't get a handle on the misinformation stuff. Maybe. Do you think the Tesla board will boot Elon as CEO? Maybe. Do you think the Electoral colleges add layers of bureaucracy helps prevent a potential coup like we saw with Trump that wouldn't necessarily be present in a popular vote? In its original form, that was part of the purpose of the Electoral College, yes. However, the Electoral College doesn't have a point anymore, except that it basically just gives a little bit more favor to small states. That's all it does now. Well, actually, no, that's not even true. It just gives more favor to battleground states. That's all it does. In the original iteration of the Electoral College, electors were supposed to vote independently without any input from citizens, and those are the people who were supposed to make the decision about who should be president, because the founders thought that the original citizens wouldn't be able to, and that like a populist president could just make promises to the citizens and they would vote for him because they're retarded. So you had electors do this independently. But now the electors all just vote along with the popular vote in every state. So there's like no point to it anymore. Well, not really. They were to be chosen by the state's legislature. What do you think, Brandon? What do you think you just typed that contradicts anything I just said? I bet so many Republicans say we aren't a democracy because of the Electoral College. Yeah, because Republicans are retarded. And also, the Electoral College has nothing to do with anything. Has nothing to... fuck, Brandon is triggering me. You literally just said they didn't want to be beholden to the voters. They're not. Electors are not beholden to the voters. They were appointed by, I think, the state legislatures. They weren't voted on, I don't believe, by the population. They weren't voted on by the population. And then the electors voted independently, and then they went back to being normal people. They weren't like career politicians or anything like that. They were just independent, like they were appointed by I believe by the state legislatures, and then they voted for who they thought should be president. That was it. They say we are in a democracy because a constitutional republic in their minds means a republican which makes you patriotic, something like that, yeah. So at breakfast this morning, over two ladies talking about how FEMA is going into Asheville for the lithium. How the fuck are these people real? True. It also doesn't even make any sense. Like, what? Like, if it's the federal government, can't they just steal it? Why would they have to do a whole ass hurricane? Like, it's such a stupid conspiracy.
Because
what about Mike Pence? You got anything for Mike Pence?
Well, it's a shame because he and I had a very good
What happened to him?
relationship.
Hanging out somewhere.
He couldn't cross the line of doing what was right.
Nice. Do you think we should get rid of the Electoral College? In its current state, where it's winner take all in basically every state, and where we don't even the electors can't even vote independently anymore, yeah, that's retarded. We should, I don't know why we have the Electoral College. It's dumb. It doesn't do anything right now. Except make battleground states the only thing we ever get to fucking talk about during the election season, which is annoying and obnoxious as fuck. Doesn't the Electoral College favor Republicans a lot? Right now it kind of does, yeah. In terms of a popular vote, but... Do you think Republicans will become less insane with the Electoral College abolished? There are a lot of Republican voters in California and New York whose votes don't matter now, and they might be less insane than the voters in swing states that Republicans care about. That's actually kind of true. Maybe that would actually help them a bit. What's the problem with the direct popular vote? I don't know if there'd necessarily be a problem with it. Right now, the Electoral College is basically the popular vote, except cucked for battleground states. How do you renegotiate the EC into something more democratic when people in those battleground/Rust Belt states feel that the interior of the country is being hollowed out for the benefits of the coast? I don't know, get fucked? I don't know, what do you mean? What does that have to do with the Electoral College? I mean, you rewrite policy or you figure out some way to help those people, but... Why would we cuck our entire country out to a couple states that we can't get with the times? Like... Okay, for Jubilee... For something I could argue against all the conservatives in the crowd, can we provide 2 to 3 claims about Kamala Harris that we would, that are positive for Kamala Harris that conservatives would fight us on, and then 2 to 3 policy-focused claims? They said the more divisive, the better. What do you think the thought process is of people who post political brain rot, and is it even worth? It's not worth commenting on it. If you look at those accounts like Jack Posobiec and those people, they don't actually even comment on social media. Or like Candace Owens, they're not engaging. They just fire tweets off and then they leave it. Replying is for losers. Better on the border. You shouldn't even give or engage in policy. Well, the Jubilee people are asking me because I'm doing that show in 5 days. Kamala Harris is better for the preservation of the U.S. Constitution. For the values of? Oh, that's a good one. Kamala Harris is a better candidate if you support the rule of law. Trump? You should call Trump Trump? Trump. The Electoral College makes Trump a DEI candidate? That's kind of a... Kamala would be better for immigration, sure. Kamala Harris would be better for the economy, I guess. Kamala Harris would be better for inflation versus Trump. Donald Trump benefits from, and likely is, the deep state. Donald Trump respects dictators more than democratically elected leaders. Kamala Harris would be better for Ukraine. Donald Trump does not know what a tariff is. Here are some more. Okay, this is enough. They should be able to figure something out from this. How soon do we know what the prompts are? Question mark. Oh, fuck, I wouldn't be able to. Okay, done with that. Figured out this. Thoughts on Dean's 1v20 versus Trump supporters? I don't know, I didn't watch it. Maybe we'll watch it tonight. Okay, what do I need to do? Got this done. Got this done. This done. Just trying to think of the only thing I need to do, and I can go hang out over there. I need See, Dean Whaler's video where he's shilling a drop-shipping business school as a red pill figure. No, and I don't care. He shouldn't care either. People like digging up shit. The Griper's trying to find shit to like character assassinate him when he was like fucking 10 years old is fucking retarded. He's giving it way too much attention. He should just not give a fuck. Because that's what a bouse would do. Do you really think 50% of Americans knowingly support Trump, or do most people not know that much? I think most people just don't know that much. I think that's about, I mean, what are you going to do? What is your response to this takedown of the border bill at 2030? Oh boy, I hope it's him saying that it lets 5,000 immigrants a day come through the border.
Blasting conservative fire. The Mark Levin Show. Call in now at 877-381-3811.
Docs.
Ladies and gentlemen, the so-called Bipartisan Immigration Act, or Border Security Act, was no such thing.
Okay, tell me why.
I'm going to give you 5 reasons.
5 of them,
And I will
goddamn.
post them later.
Okay, hell yeah, let's go, boy.
Under the bill, the Kamala Harris says she will sign on day 1.
Okay.
Which the Republicans rejected.
Okay. After Trump told them to, by the way.
It would enshrine in federal law catch and release. Catch and release is the reason we have millions of illegal aliens in America. Donald Trump had stay in Mexico.
Catch and release and stay in Mexico are not mutually exclusive things. There is no catch and release law, and it wouldn't enshrine catch and release as law. Right now, catch and release just happens to be how things work because of a confluence of different policies and how we process asylum seekers. Okay.
Then we will adjudicate, vet, and make a determination. Biden-Harris, they signed an executive order eliminating that. And so we have catch and release, where our poor Border Patrol, if they even are able, they catch the person and then they release them into our country.
You don't if you have catch and release as a policy, you don't have to catch the person. You can turn yourself in and just claim asylum. That's the issue. It's not that they're going out of the way to catch a person and then they have to. Why would they even bother catching them then? Even his own logic is fucking retarded. But okay.
They could be criminals if they don't know who they are. They could be terrorists. They could be murderers. They could be MS-13. They could be that Venezuelan.
Okay, don't care. Don't know who this Mark Levin? Okay. Whoever this guy is, he's retarded. Don't care.